and push start. Thanks to those of us who are joining. We're going to give a couple minutes just to have a few other folks that we're waiting on attending, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, I think we can go ahead and get started now. Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We've got a bunch of great information to share with you about optimizing your website design for the upcoming new year. We've got about 30 minutes. We're going to use as much of that time to share as much information as we can with you, but we've also carved out some space at the end to go over questions that you have. So feel free to utilize that chat feature that you see on your Zoom screen, and we'll go ahead and make space to go over any questions towards the end. I'm Sierra Sigelski, a Client Success Manager at Madfish Digital, and I'm often your first point of contact when you reach out to the Madfish team. So if you have any questions after this webinar, go ahead and reach out to me. If you're curious about working with Madfish, I'm your person to speak with. So yeah, that's a bit about me. And I'm joined today by Nicole Niederhofer, who's our Associate Director of Design. Super glad to have you here, Nicole. She's been on the team for over 6 years, working with Madfish on design projects, small and large. She loves working on website audits in specific. So really excited to run through all of the fun facts that she's pulled together for us. What I love most about working with Nicole is that she really embodies the core value, fun-ish, that we have on our team. And she puts together a lot of fun activities that keep us connected during these virtual times where we're all working from home. So thanks for joining, Nicole. And for those of you that don't know Madfish, we are Madfish Digital. We're based in Portland, Oregon, but we have a team that spreads across the US. And we're a values-first digital marketing agency that specializes in SEO, paid media, content marketing, and design. We recently ranked number 6 on Oregon's top 100 places to work, and we're also B Corp certified. We're proud to be a business that's focused on being a force for good. We put people before profits. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it on over to Nicole now, and she's going to get us started.
Hi everyone, thank you, Sierra. I'm going to jump right in because we do just have a little bit of time here. So kind of just the few things that we're going to go over today is why you should optimize your website, what tools are available, understanding that data and what to look for, a few common issues that we see when looking at websites, and then how to turn that data into actionable next steps. So just jumping right into the why, I think it's great just to start with what is optimization? So it's really to make the best or most effective use of a situation, opportunity, or resource. So really you're looking at your website and then rearranging or rewriting that data to improve that efficiency and really increase your conversion rates. So why should you optimize your website? I think really one of the biggest mistakes a business can make is just assuming your website works fine for all of its users without hiccups. We spent a lot of time creating that website, getting that content perfect, the design. But sometimes just once your users are using it, they can run into simple issues like a hyperlink not working or complex issues not being able to find the information they're looking for. And once they leave because of frustration, they may never come back. By optimizing, making it better, you can increase your conversion rates and also keep your users happy and coming back and hopefully recommending your product or service to their friends. So I'm going to jump right into the tools. Number one, I think this is the most important one to really start with is your team. You may have like one person marketing team, a group, but it's really great to talk to those sales teams, those customer service folks, because they may know issues that are coming about without you really realizing it because they're talking to your customers every day. So really, if they're calling because they can't log into your website or they can't unsubscribe or they can't find information, your team's really going to be able to give you that information that your users are looking for. So just building a feedback channel is going to be your first step. Now, some of just the tools that you can use. First and foremost, definitely Google Analytics. If you don't have this on your site, get it. It's pretty simple. You might have to read some tutorials or obviously reaching out to Madfish or another marketing agency, hopefully yes. But we can help get those installed, but that really is going to be a good starting point. That's going to give you insights on your traffic, your bounce rate, time on page, just that general information of what your users are doing. Secondly, we really like Heatmaps. There's a lot of different platforms that can provide this. We use Hotjar, but there's Crazy Egg, Mouseflow, Full Story. These all are going to have different options depending on what you're looking for. And this, you're going to be looking at those heat maps. Where are they clicking? Where are they hovering? And how far down are they scrolling? After you've looked at some heat maps, I definitely suggest user recordings. Once again, third-party software like Hotjar, that really lets you watch what your users are actually doing. I think that this is just really the best place to get that information because you just never know what kind of issues they're running into, where they're getting stuck, where they're getting frustrated, and this really lets you see what they're doing on your website. Then after you kind of combine some of that data, the experimental platforms are really great. Google Optimize, Optimizely, there's a whole slew of different ones. They can range from 3 to 30,000 depending on what you're looking for. But this is where you can set up some of those A/B testing without needing a developer. You can test your button copy, your headlines, and really find out what elements are working great for your users. So a little bit more on how we use these tools. So Google Analytics, I'll first come into there and really look at like what pages are users visiting? What pages are they not visiting? I really love this user flow to find out if people are coming to the homepage and then where are they going from there? Are they going to your service, your about? What are they really interested in? And then where are they dropping off? You don't want a huge, if people are coming to your homepage and 80% are dropping off, then there definitely means you need to do some testing on your homepage. This will also help you see what devices users are coming in through. Even though we are in a mobile world, some websites, some brands, desktop is really what people are using when looking at your website. So this will really help you understand who your users are and where they're kind of looking at your information from. Google Analytics, you can also, getting a little bit more deeper dive into Google Analytics, but you can also set up some errors so that if you are seeing a lot of 404 errors or a lot of issues, you can be notified of those. So after looking at those Google Analytic numbers, that's when I'll set up those heat maps on high traffic page, low traffic to really understand what's going on. The clicks, this really helps understand what content and topics users are interested in and where users are clicking that it doesn't have a link. We've definitely built a lot of blog posts or expanded on pages when we see there's something that's been clicked on. This also helps us. This is a screenshot of our homepage, and we were able to tell that users are really interested in our social channels. For a while, we weren't putting a lot, I think, out on Facebook, and we were like, okay, we really need to spend some time and dedicate there. For movement, this will help you see what sections people are hovering on, what they're not. So if you've got a large paragraph and no one's kind of looking at that would mean you'd want to maybe adjust that. Then scrolling is really an interesting one. I've been doing a lot of these, and I'd say only about 20% of users are going to get to the footer of your page on your home page. And that kind of increases throughout the website. So that really helps you know that if you're putting really important information in that mid or bottom of the page, you can see if your users are actually getting that. And if you should move that further up on the page, maybe not have so much information, and really entice your users to scroll. User recordings. So I think really with user recordings, it's best to start and just watch 50 at random. You really want this to be random because you don't want to be siloed into like just looking at your home page or just your service page or just a product page. You really want to randomly see what your users are doing when they come to your website. So I'll usually start with just watching those 50 and tracking what are they doing, what devices, and then what insights am I seeing? With those insights, really pay attention to like, how does your layout look? When do they exit, or when do they display frustration? When do you see them clicking around and they can't get out, or they're going back and then coming back in? That can really show you that your users aren't finding the information that they need. And then from there, I'll kind of look at like, where were those issues? Where did I see frustrations? And watch some more recordings on those pages to really find out, was that little sample, is that really what's happening with everyone? And making sure that when I am going to adjust websites and the design, the content, that it is something that's universally happening and not just a small amount of people. So after you've gathered some of that information, I think this experimental platforms are great. Google Optimize lets you test 5 things for free, and I think that is really just a great place to start. This example here, we were testing out button copy, the contact us versus ask a question, and it gives you a nice little information on how many people have viewed it and then how many people have converted. I will say when you are doing experiments, it's really important to make sure that you get a good amount of data in. Don't just let 100 users click and make your decision off of that. Like if you can get 1,000 go for 30, 60 days, like really let that data come in. And even if you check it every 2 weeks, you'll be interested to see that it will kind of ebb and flow sometimes. But you really want to see, if you can, a couple conversion percent difference. Like this right here, for being 11.4 versus 11.09 to 9%, like that 11 to 9, like that's great. Like we are seeing that contact us is winning. So really just let that data come in and be patient. So just a few of the common issues that we've seen among different websites. I will say the easiest win that you can is clearing up those headlines. When you use complicated or unclear headlines, that's when you're going to lose a lot of people. I think it's like you have 3 seconds to grab somebody's attention. So if you've got a long headline that's, I don't know, I feel like people love to say that they've been in business for 50 years and we, provide blah, 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 blah. That's great. It definitely feels good. It expresses your brand. But sometimes when you're just like, we offer XYZ, pretty straightforward, that's when you're really going to see that conversion rate increase. I think we see just a minimum of a 2% change when we really simplify those. This is pretty straightforward, but those complicated navigation structures and naming conventions, make it easy for your users. Like I know that you live and breathe your brand, but maybe have a spouse, like look at your navigation. Like, does this make sense? If you tell them to go find a coat, can they easily get there, or is it confusing? And with that, the naming conventions as well. I know that we all have these like fun internal brand names that we use, but when it comes to your navigation, make it simple, make it easily understandable. They do say, I mean, that's why a lot of the websites look similar these days, is that as a user, we understand where to find the information. We understand that if I click on the word blog, it's going to take me to a blog. Really just help your users get where they want to be. As I mentioned with scrolling, putting that information that important information at the bottom of the page, most likely not a big percentage of your users are not going to get there. So put that further up on the page. One of the largest across every single industry that I see is that people want to click on things that aren't hyperlinked. I mean, your users just love to click. They want to click on images. They want to click in your content, obviously your buttons. So, really making it clear what items are clickable. And then when you're looking at that data, if there's something that a user's trying to click on, a icon, additional information, a bullet point, create a page and help them get there. Then let's see, product images. This is a big one. You'd be really surprised at how users interact with product images. So really make sure that those are mobile friendly. We're used to looking at a desktop while you're at work, which is when you're probably going to look at your website versus your phone. But really pull up your website on your phone and see how that looks. If you can't read those images, or maybe you have a plugin where you can zoom in and it's difficult on your phone, like really make that friendly for everyone. You'd also be surprised at how much that users want to look at those images and get more information. It was a food product, and users were, instead of they didn't have anywhere to look at the ingredients on the page. So they were zooming in on the back of the bottle trying to get that information. So just to be accessible and really give your users that information, make sure that's also displayed somewhere on the page. This one, I think, what is this? The sixth bullet that I'd suggest is having just too much content on your page. It's definitely going to help you with SEO rankings, but you also need to think about the user experience. If you have paragraph after paragraph, yeah, that might help you rank a little higher, but it's not going to help your users get that information that they want. So using those motion heat maps, you can kind of see where people are paying attention. They really want to be able to easily digest this. So think bullet points, small paragraphs, separating where you can so that people can really kind of snip it. No one's just reading from top to bottom, even though we would love them to as marketers. They're going to skim, so make it easy for them to skim. And last, but definitely not least, is to make sure you have call to actions. Each page that you have on your website, what do you want your users to do from there? Like, what information are you providing, and what do you want their next step to be? Do you want them to fill out a newsletter? Do you want them to add that product to their cart? Do you want them to sign up for a demo? If you have a service page and you're trying to get them to sign up, make sure you add some call to actions. It's easy for them to click as they go, and don't just assume that they're going to go to the top of their navigation and go to a demo. Make it just really easy for them. But also don't have too much. Don't try to have them do 5 things on one page. Really think about what journey you want them to take. So next steps. Now that you've kind of got a few tools, you know what to look for, what do you do with all this data, and how do you make a plan? So I think the number one thing, the fun thing to do is first to make a list of wins. Like, what is your website doing right? Where did you see that they are clicking? Where did you see your users were taking the path that you wanted them to take? Did you watch some recordings and there was no development issues? Like, there was nothing that glitched, nothing that looked off of place. Like, really, what are your wins? I think that helps to know too what you can test down the road. If you see that your users they really interact with, like, if you're doing a 3-part icon, use that other places on your website. Know what your users like. Then on the next one is then make a list of what those issues are and what opportunities you see. A big suggestion that we usually make is if a user is trying to click somewhere and it's not hyperlinked, is to create a blog off of that. If that's not something that should be a page, give them more information. So really just making a list of those things that you want to test and and where you see those opportunities. And then go back to your team. I think some of the best things and testing that comes out is just collaborating with your team. It doesn't have to be a marketing team. Maybe it's your salesperson, maybe it's a friend. Like, just talk through what you could do with your website, and bounce ideas off of each other. I think that also helps that you aren't just siloed looking at your website. Once again, you're really getting more opinions, more thoughts, to really do the best that you can. So once you've kind of made a list of those opportunities, is prioritize them by, two different things really. What big issues are you seeing? Are you seeing that there's a big dev issue where they're clicking and they're not being able to submit a form or purchase a product? Like, that's definitely going to be your number one to fix. But also sometimes put those easy things at the top too. Is it as minor as just adding a button or a hyperlink when you already have the information? Like, kind of check those things off quickly, but really need to decide what you and your team can accomplish, and also the price point. Some of these things could be larger and need to involve a developer. Then make those updates and then do this test again. Like I said, give it 30, 60, 90 days, depending on how much traffic you're getting to your website. Review that data again, and make those adjustments using, something like Google Optimize, or just making those adjustments on your website and then tracking that with Google Analytics. There's a couple different ways that you can do that to make sure that your users are getting the information that they want and your conversion rates are increasing. Ooh. So this is the fun part. We did on the form have a little area where you could submit your website for review. So I picked acquire. Hopefully the acquire person is here. If not, we'll be posting this later. But just kind of some of those things that I mentioned, just looking at their website, from the desktop to the mobile, is some of these images got very small on the mobile. It's really highlighting their product, how a user interacts with their product, which is really great, and what you're going to get out of that. But when it goes down to the mobile, it's pretty hard to read what some of these things are. This is a good time to talk to your developer and ask if you can upload 2 different types of images for your desktop and your mobile, so that mobile users can get that same experience. This is just a second one that I've seen across the board with clients. It's unfortunate, you don't really think about it, but when you're on mobile, you get these pop-ups to sign up, get the demo, and sometimes it can be really hard to exit out of, which can cause that user frustration. So this one, it wasn't too bad, but I did have to click around a couple times to get out. So that's definitely something that, just pull up your website, poke around, go randomly through it, and kind of just see what some of those things happen, so that you can fix that. I will say too, a bonus, if you are doing any Instagram, Facebook ads, if you click on the ad and then they go to your website and you get the pop-up like this, if it's pretty high up on that top area, that Instagram thing is going to cover it, and then users aren't going to be able to exit out, which really is going to prevent them from doing what you want them to do. So just kind of thinking about what your website looks like in those other platforms as well. Ooh, and we did it. Oops, sorry, Sierra, go ahead.
No, thank you so much, Nicole. I was just kind of keeping an eye on our chat and Q&A, and I haven't seen anything come through, but now's the time. Nicole ran through a lot pretty quickly, but if you had any specific questions and an area that we didn't cover, or perhaps specifically speaks to where you're at in your own design on your website, feel free to send those over. We will field those questions. Otherwise, you can contact both me or Nicole through our emails, our social channels. We'd be happy to hear from you. Did you have anything else to add, Nicole?
No, I just appreciate all of your time coming to this on, December. I know everybody's trying to make that mad dash to the end of the year, but as Sierra said, if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out, email me. I'm happy to answer any of those questions for you.
Cool. Well, thanks again, everyone, for joining. We'll send this video out via email for those attendees. And thanks again.